to allow yourself to just for a moment experience what it might be like to actually love and accept yourself, just as you are, just as I am now. I love and accept myself. Try that on just for one moment. See what happens. I think you might discover that it's quite surprisingly effective. That's one aspect of this is if we project our the conditionality that we've been trained to normalize. If we project that onto God or life or the universe, then that's going to create this habitual automatic response in us that's going to be activated in so many situations in life that then will drain the energy so that we don't have sufficient energy to direct toward what we want. So I gave one very simple practical exercise that you could explore that could help with that. I'll give you another variation. It's a little bit more sophisticated. Don't think that because it's more sophisticated, it's more effective. It's not necessarily true, but just because some different things will appeal to different people, I'm just going to give you a variation that could be useful to explore. And this exercise that I'm going to give you right now, you could do it generally. You could also do it in specific context. So, but we'll do it generally at first. So think about if there's some entity, however you conceive of that entity. So if you conceive of the entity as God, or if you conceive of the entity as the universe, or you conceive of the entity as life with a capital L, or it doesn't have to be those constrained to just those three options. It could be whatever that entity is that you perceive that you have some kind of relationship with. And if you don't perceive that there's any entity that you have any relationship with, then I guess you wouldn't use this exercise. But if there's any entity that you perceive you have a relationship with, then choose, and maybe there's multiple, you can just choose one, and then just notice how does that entity feel about you? And here trying to get the honest, conditioned working response, not what you think is the right answer. Because you might say, well, I know God loves me unconditionally. But is that the working response? Is that what actually comes up? Or is there actually a conditioned working response of something else? Is like God disappointed in you? Whatever it is, just we're wanting in this exercise, just wanting to invite that, just to notice how does that entity feel about you? Just to give an example of what I'm talking about, let's say, okay, God is disappointed in me. So then I can ask myself, when I am aware or when I perceive that God is disappointed in me, how do I feel? When I perceive that God is disappointed in me, I feel ashamed. And then I can ask myself, well, how would I like to feel? Well, maybe I'd like to feel at ease and supported. I'm just giving an example. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just whatever comes up, but I'm just giving the example. So then I can go through those same cycle through the same points of view. So start over again. Now, how does God feel about me? And just whatever comes up. So maybe I say, well, now God's a little bit more like God's like rooting for me. God's on my side. God's wanting the best for me. When I perceive that God is rooting for me and wanting the best for me, how do I feel? I might say, well, I feel a little better than before, but I still feel like, like I'm not enough. And then how would I like to feel? Well, I'd like to feel that I am enough. So then can start over first from the first perspective again. So now how does God feel about me? Maybe I feel like, oh, God feels like just like tender-hearted and really sweet toward me. And then, when I perceive that God feels tender-hearted and sweet toward me, how do I feel? And maybe I say, well, now I feel a little bit more like also kind of open-hearted, uh, So can continue with this process until that, the answer to how do I feel seems optimal. So this exercise can also help to clear up those conditioned, unhelpful, limiting projections. So those are two variations on some practical things that you might explore that can help you to relieve yourself of unhelpful, limiting beliefs and perceptions regarding love, things that you might struggle to make fully conscious by going about it a different way, but these ways can be very effective and can really free you up from a lot of stuff.